The space around Earth was quiet that morning. Captain Jake Murphy sat in his chair on the bridge of the small ship called Liberty. He was drinking his coffee and looking at the stars through the big window. His crew was doing their normal work. Nobody knew that today would change everything. Lieutenant Amy Roberts was at her computer station. She was checking messages from Earth. Chief Engineer Pete Collins was downstairs fixing some broken parts. Everything seemed normal and peaceful. Then the alarms started going off. "Captain," Amy shouted, "something big is coming, really big." Jake put down his coffee cup and looked at the main screen. What he saw made his heart stop. A huge dark ship was moving toward them. It was bigger than anything humans had ever built. The ship looked like a giant metal monster with sharp edges and glowing red lights. "Where did it come from?" Jake asked. "I don't know, sir. It just appeared out of nowhere," Amy said. Her hands were shaking as she worked on her computer. More ships started appearing. One after another, massive alien vessels came out of empty space. Soon there were 20 huge ships surrounding the small human ship. Jake had never felt so small and helpless. A voice came through the radio. It was deep and scary, like a snake trying to talk. "Human ship, this is Commander Vex Thule of the Zephyrian Empire. You will surrender now." Jake took a deep breath. He had trained for first contact with aliens, but not like this. He pressed the button to talk back. "This is Captain Murphy of Earth. We come in peace. We want to talk and be friends." The alien laughed. It was a horrible sound that made everyone on the bridge feel scared. "Friends? Humans do not make friends with Zephyrians. You make good slaves. Your weak little planet will serve our empire." Through the main screen, Jake could see the alien commander. Vexthul was tall and covered in dark scales. His eyes were yellow like fire. He had sharp teeth and claws. When he moved, his scales changed color from purple to black. He looked like a nightmare come to life. "We have conquered 17 worlds," Vexthul continued. "Your Earth will be number 18. You cannot fight us. You cannot run. You can only surrender and hope we let some of you live." Pete's voice came from the engine room. "Captain, they're pointing their weapons at us. Big ones. Our shields won't stop those things." Jake looked around at his crew. Amy was trying not to cry. The other officers looked terrified. These aliens had weapons that could destroy Earth. Jake knew he had to do something. But what could one small ship do against an entire fleet? "Commander Vexthul," Jake said, trying to keep his voice steady. "Please reconsider. Humans and Zephyrians don't have to be enemies. We can work together. We can share knowledge and help each other." Vexthul's scales turned completely black. "You dare to suggest we need help from insects like you? Your species is weak. You have no claws, no armor, no natural weapons. You are prey animals, nothing more." The alien commander turned to someone on his ship. "Target their engines. Show them what happens when prey tries to talk back to predators." A bright green beam shot out from the alien ship. It hit the Liberty and the whole ship shook. Sparks flew from the computers. The lights went out for a few seconds. "Shields down to 40%, Pete shouted from below. Amy was crying now. "Captain, what do we do? They're going to kill us all." Jake thought about his family back on Earth. He thought about all the people who would die if these aliens attacked his planet. There had to be something he could do. Then he remembered something from his training, something so crazy it might actually work. "Amy, send a message to Earth Command. Tell them we need Protocol 7. Amy stopped crying and stared at him. "Protocol 7? Sir, that's just a theory. It's never been tested. We don't even know if it will work." "It's our only chance," Jake said. "Send the message." Vexthul watched the human ship getting weaker with each attack. Soon he would board their vessel and take prisoners. He would learn about human weapons and defenses. Then his fleet would attack Earth and add another world to the Empire. "Sir," one of his officers said, "the humans are sending messages to their home planet." Vexthul laughed again. "Let them call for help. No human reinforcements can save them now. Even if they send their entire fleet, it would be like insects attacking eagles." But something strange was happening on the human ship. Instead of fear, Jake was starting to smile. A message had come back from Earth Command. It was just one word, but it was the word Jake had been hoping for. Authorized. Jake turned to his crew. Everyone listen carefully. In 3 days, a special ship will arrive. When it gets here, we're going to show these aliens something they've never seen before. What kind of ship? Amy asked. Jake's smile got bigger. The kind that carries Earth's most powerful weapons. The kind that will change everything. Vexthul noticed the change in the humans. They had stopped looking scared. The captain was actually smiling. This confused the alien commander. Humans were supposed to be terrified when facing the mighty Zephyrian Empire. What are you planning, human? Vexthul demanded. Jake looked directly at the alien commander through the screen. You wanted to see Earth's strength, Commander. In 3 days you'll get your wish, but I don't think you're ready for what's coming. The alien's scales shifted from black to dark red. He was getting angry. Nothing you humans can bring will frighten the Zephyrian Empire. We have seen the weapons of 17 worlds. You're pathetic. Technology cannot threaten us. We'll see about that, Jake said calmly. For the next 3 days, the alien fleet waited around the small human ship. Vexthul was curious about what the humans thought they could do. His ships could destroy anything the humans might send. He had plasma cannons that could melt through mountains. He had shields that could stop nuclear weapons. What could possibly worry him? But deep in space, something was coming toward them. Something that would change the course of history. Something that would teach the galaxy's greatest warriors about a power they had never encountered before. The transport ship Voyager was on its way, carrying a cargo that would surprise everyone. 3 long days passed. Commander Vexthul spent his time firing warning shots at the human ship. He was having fun scaring the humans. Every few hours he would shoot a small blast near their ship. The humans would shake and their shields would get weaker. Vexthul enjoyed watching them suffer. Soon I will board their ship, he told his officers. I want to see how humans look when they beg for their lives. His second-in-command, Lieutenant Rick Hayes, nodded. Rick was smaller than Vexthul, but just as mean. His scales were silver and his eyes were like black stones. Should we start the attack on their planet now, Commander? Not yet, Vexthul said. I want to learn about their weapons first. Then we will destroy their world slowly. On the 3rd day, something appeared in space. It was another human ship, but this one was different. It was bigger than the Liberty, but much smaller than the Zephyrian warships. The ship looked old and simple. It had no weapons that Vexthul could see. Another sheep comes to join the flock, Vexthul laughed. He opened a communication channel. Human ship, tell me who you are, then prepare to die with your friends. A calm voice answered him. It was a woman. This is Captain Lisa Carter of the transport ship Voyager. We are bringing supplies to help Captain Murphy. Vexthul looked at the new ship through his viewing screen. Captain Carter was a human female with gray hair and tired eyes. She looked like she had been traveling for a long time. She did not look scared like the other humans. You bring weapons, Vexthul said. It was not a question. You think your tiny guns can hurt the mighty Zephyrian Empire? No weapons, Commander, Lisa replied. Just food, water, and some friends for our crew. We want to connect our ship to the Liberty. This confused Vexthul. Why would humans bring friends to a battle? Why were they not bringing soldiers or guns? He looked at his science officer, a thin Zephyrian with green scales named Kess. Scan their ship, Vexthul ordered. Tell me what weapons they hide. Kess worked at his computer for several minutes. His eyes grew wide as he read the results. Commander, there are no weapons on their ship. But there is something strange. What do you mean, strange? There are many life forms on that ship, but they are not human. They are smaller than humans, much smaller, and there are dozens of them. Rick Hayes moved closer to the viewing screen. Could they be human children? Maybe they think we will feel sorry for them if we see their young ones. Vexthul's scales turned dark red with anger. Foolish humans. We have destroyed the children of 17 worlds. A few more will not stop us. He turned back to the communication channel. You may connect your ships, Captain Carter, but if you try anything, I will destroy both ships instantly. Thank you, Commander, Lisa said. We understand. Vexthul watched as the two human ships slowly moved together. The Voyager had a docking tube that stretched out like a metal arm. It connected to the side of the Liberty with a soft thud. Now, the humans could walk from one ship to the other. Keep watching them, Vexthul told his crew. I want to know everything they do. Inside the Voyager, Captain Jake Murphy floated through the docking tube to meet Captain Carter. When he saw her, he smiled for the first time in 3 days. Lisa, I was not sure you would make it in time. Lisa Carter shook his hand firmly. She was a veteran space captain who had flown cargo ships for 20 years. She had gray hair and wrinkles around her eyes, but her hands were steady and strong. We came as fast as we could, Jake. Earth Command sent us the moment they got your message about Protocol 7. She looked worried. Are you really sure about this plan? It sounds crazy. Jake looked out the window at the massive alien fleet surrounding them. 20 huge warships with enough firepower to destroy entire cities. Lisa, these aliens have conquered 17 worlds. They have weapons we cannot imagine. Normal fighting will not work against them. But this? Lisa pointed toward the cargo bay. This is not fighting at all. Exactly, Jake said. That is why it might work. They walked together toward the cargo area of the Voyager. As they got closer, Jake could hear soft sounds coming from behind the sealed doors. There were gentle noises like small animals moving around. How many did you bring? Jake asked. 48, Lisa replied. The best ones we could find. All trained, all healthy, all ready for what comes next. Chief Petty Officer Dan Richards was waiting for them in the cargo bay. Dan was a young man with brown hair and kind eyes. He had been chosen specially for this mission. He was wearing a simple blue uniform and holding a small device in his hands. Captain Murphy, Captain Carter, Dan said with a salute. The cargo is secure and ready for deployment. Jake looked around the cargo bay. There were dozens of special containers stacked against the walls. Each container was about the size of a large box. They had air holes and temperature controls. Soft sounds were coming from inside them. How are they handling the trip? Jake asked. Dan smiled. Very well, sir. They are excited. I think they know something special is about to happen. From one of the containers came a soft whimpering sound. Then another container made a gentle scratching noise. Soon happy sounds were coming from all over the cargo bay. They sound ready, Lisa said. They were born ready, Dan replied. This is what they do best. Back on the Zephyrian flagship, Science Officer Kess was still studying the strange readings from the human ship. Commander, the life forms are definitely not human. They are much smaller, and they seem to be happy. Happy? Vexthul did not understand. What do you mean happy? Their biosigns show excitement and joy, not fear. It is very strange for creatures going into battle. Vexthul stared at the human ships. What kind of weapons felt joy before fighting? What kind of soldiers were excited to die? These humans were more puzzling than he had thought. Keep scanning, he ordered. I want to know what those humans are planning. He did not know that in a few hours he would meet Earth's most powerful weapons, and these weapons would change his life forever. Commander Vexthul was getting tired of waiting. His fleet had other worlds to conquer. These humans were taking too much of his valuable time. He had already wasted 3 days playing with them. Now it was time to finish this. He opened a communication channel to both human ships. His voice was cold and dangerous. Humans, your time is over. You will now see what happens when insects try to fight eagles. On the Voyager, Captain Jake Murphy and Captain Lisa Carter looked at each other. They had been waiting for this moment. But, Vexthul continued, I am not without honor. I will give you one last chance to prove your worth. His scales turned bright red with excitement. Face me in single combat. Bring your greatest warrior. Bring your most deadly weapon. Bring your strongest beast of war. The alien commander's eyes glowed like fire. If your champion can defeat mine, my entire fleet will leave your system forever. But when your champion loses, your entire species becomes our slaves. Jake pressed the communication button. "We accept your challenge, Commander Vexthul." The alien's laugh was like breaking glass. "Excellent. We will meet on the asteroid called Delta 7. Neutral ground. You have 2 hours to prepare your warrior." He paused, and his voice became even more frightening. "Choose wisely, human. This will be your species' last chance." The communication ended. On the alien flagship, Vexthul turned to his crew with excitement. "Prepare the battle platform on the asteroid. Make sure it has atmosphere so the humans can breathe when they die." "Yes, Commander," said Lieutenant Rick Hayes. "Should we ready the standard weapons?" Vexthul's scales turned black with cruel joy. "No. Ready the Morthos." Every alien on the bridge became silent. The Morthos was their most feared weapon. It was not a gun or a bomb. It was a living nightmare. Science Officer Kess spoke carefully. "Sir, are you sure? The Morthos has never lost a battle. It seems unfair to use it against these weak humans." "The humans asked for our strongest beast," Vexthul replied. "They will get exactly what they asked for." Deep in the ship, alien workers went to a special chamber. Inside was a cage made of the strongest metal in the galaxy. The cage was 10 feet tall and 15 feet wide. Inside the cage was darkness and the sound of heavy breathing. "Wake up," one of the workers whispered. "You have work to do." 2 glowing red eyes opened in the darkness. The Morthos was awake. The creature was 12 feet tall and covered in black armor-like skin. It had claws as long as swords and teeth that could bite through steel. Its muscles were bigger than a human's entire body. The Morthos had been bred for war on a dozen different worlds. It had killed thousands of warriors from many species. The beast let out a roar that shook the entire ship. It was hungry for battle. Meanwhile, on the human ships, Dan Richards was getting ready. He put on a simple white spacesuit. No weapons, no armor, just basic protection from the vacuum of space. He looked like he was going for a walk, not to fight the galaxy's most dangerous creature. "Dan, are you absolutely sure about this?" "Captain," Carter asked, "we could still try to run away." Dan picked up a simple leather leash from his equipment bag. It was brown and worn, like something a pet owner might use. "Ma'am, I have been training for this moment my whole life. Trust me." He walked over to one of the special containers. The happy sounds were getting louder now. Dan opened the container very carefully. Inside was a medium-sized dog with golden fur and long floppy ears. The dog looked up at Dan with bright brown eyes full of love and excitement. The dog's tail started wagging so fast it was just a blur. Dan attached the simple leash to the dog's collar. The collar was red with a small name tag that said Max. "Come on, boy," Dan said softly. "Time to save the world." Lieutenant Amy Roberts stared at them in shock. "That's our secret weapon? A dog?" Captain Murphy smiled. "Amy, meet Max. He's 2 years old. He loves everyone he meets, and he's about to change galactic history." "But sir," Amy said, "how can a dog fight that alien monster?" "He's not going to fight it," Dan explained. "He's going to do something much more powerful." 2 hours later, both ships arrived at asteroid Delta 7. The Zephyrian technology had created a bubble of air around the rocky surface. Now both humans and aliens could breathe and move normally. Commander Vexthul stood at one end of the makeshift arena. Next to him was a transport cage containing the Morthos. The creature was pacing back and forth, eager for blood. Its red eyes glowed in the artificial light. When it moved, the ground shook under its massive weight. At the other end of the arena, Dan Richards stood calmly in his white spacesuit. Next to him, Max sat patiently on the rocky ground. The dog was looking around with curiosity at all the new sights and smells. His tail was still wagging. "Human!" Vexthul shouted across the arena. "Is this some kind of joke? You bring a tiny pet to face the terror of 17 worlds?" Dan smiled inside his helmet. "This is Max, Commander. He's a very good boy." The alien's scales turned pure black with rage. "You mock the Zephyrian Empire. This pathetic little creature cannot even scratch the Morthos," He gestured to his beast, which responded with a roar that would have broken windows if there had been any. Max's ears perked up at the interesting new sound. His tail wagged even faster. He had never heard anything like that before, but it sounded exciting. "You asked me to bring Earth's greatest weapon," Dan said calmly. He reached down and unclipped Max's leash. "You asked me to unleash the beast." Max was suddenly free. He looked up at Dan with pure joy, then looked across the arena at the most interesting thing he had ever seen. A huge new friend was waiting to play with him. "Here's your beast, Commander," Dan said quietly. Max did what golden retrievers do best. He ran toward the Morthos with pure happiness, ready to make a new friend. The galaxy's most feared warrior was about to meet Earth's most powerful weapon, unconditional love. Max ran across the rocky ground with pure joy. His golden fur shined in the artificial light. His tongue was hanging out and his tail was wagging so fast it looked like a blur. To Max, this was the best day ever. He was about to meet the biggest, most interesting new friend he had ever seen. The Morthos stood waiting at the other end of the arena. The creature was a nightmare made real. Its black skin looked like armor. Its claws were longer than kitchen knives. Its teeth could crush a car. The beast had killed warriors from 17 different worlds. It had never known defeat. But as Max got closer, something strange happened. The Morthos had never seen anything like this small golden creature. Every other enemy had come with weapons, screaming war cries, ready to fight. This tiny being was running toward it with what looked like happiness. Max reached the Morthos and did something that shocked everyone watching. He stopped running and did a playbow. He put his front legs down low and kept his back end up high. His tail was still wagging. This was the universal dog signal that meant, "I want to play with you." The Morthos stopped moving. For the first time in its life, the galaxy's most feared weapon was confused. This creature showed no fear. It had no weapons. It was not trying to attack. Instead, it seemed to be inviting the Morthos to play. Max barked once. It was a happy, friendly sound that echoed across the arena. Then he bounced around the massive alien creature like he was playing with a friend in the park. Commander Vexthal watched in shock. "What is that animal doing?" he demanded of his officers. I don't know, sir," Science Officer Kess replied. His voice was full of confusion. The Morthos seems confused too. Max had found a small rock on the ground. He picked it up in his mouth and dropped it at the Morthos's giant feet. Then he looked up at the creature with bright, hopeful eyes. He wanted to play fetch. The Morthos looked down at this strange, small being. In all its years of battle, nothing had ever brought it a gift. Nothing had ever wanted to play. The beast slowly lowered its massive head to sniff the golden creature. Max saw this as an invitation. He gently touched his nose to the Morthos's snout. It was the dog way of saying, "Hello, friend, something incredible happened." The Morthos, bred for war and trained to kill, felt something it had never experienced before. The creature's red eyes softened. Its tense muscles began to relax. When Max rolled over onto his back, showing his belly to the giant beast, the Morthos was completely amazed. This was the ultimate sign of trust. Max was telling the massive creature that he felt completely safe with it. The Morthos had never had anyone trust it before. Everyone always ran away screaming. But this small golden creature trusted it completely. Carefully, very carefully. The giant beast lowered itself down to the ground. It wanted to get a closer look at this amazing little being. Max's tail went crazy with happiness. He had made a new friend. He rolled back over and started gently playing with one of the Morthos's huge claws, treating it like a fun toy. Commander Vexthal could not believe what he was seeing. His ultimate weapon, the terror of 17 worlds, was lying on the ground, playing with a small earth animal. "This is impossible," he whispered. Dan Richards spoke into his communication device. "Captain Murphy, you might want to send over the rest of the cargo now." Within minutes, transport pods began arriving from the human ships. Each pod carried more containers. Soon the asteroid was filled with 47 more dogs of every size and type. There was Luna, a small white terrier who immediately started running in happy circles. There was Buddy, a big brown Labrador who went straight to the nearest Zephyrian soldier and sat down wanting to be petted. There was Charlie, a small corgi with stubby legs who somehow managed to climb onto Commander Vexthul's foot. The alien commander looked down at the small dog sitting on his boot. Charlie looked up at Vexthul with pure adoration, as if the alien commander was the most wonderful being in the universe. What is this? Vexthul asked weakly. Other Zephyrian soldiers were having similar experiences. A German shepherd named Rocky had convinced a weapons officer to throw a stick for him. A golden retriever named Daisy was getting belly rubs from the tactical officer who had been operating the ship's deadliest guns just hours before. The dogs didn't care that these beings looked different. They didn't care about the scary scales or sharp teeth. All they saw were potential friends who needed love. Dan Richards walked over to Commander Vexthul, who was still staring down at Charlie in amazement. "Commander," Dan said gently, "these aren't weapons. They're companions. On Earth, we call them our best friends. They don't know how to hate. They don't understand war. Every creature they meet is just a friend they haven't played with yet." Vexthul looked around at his crew. His feared warriors were now sitting on the ground, playing with small Earth animals. His ultimate weapon, the Morthos, was lying on its back while Max played with its massive paws. "But how can this be victory?" Vexthul asked. "These creatures have no power. They cannot fight, they cannot destroy." Captain Murphy's voice came through the communication system from the Voyager. "Commander, you asked us to bring our most powerful weapon. These dogs represent the best of humanity. They show us that love is stronger than fear, that friendship is more powerful than war." Charlie had somehow climbed up onto Vexthul's lap. The small dog curled up against the alien commander's armored chest and closed his eyes, completely content and safe. For the first time in his long military career, Vexthul felt something new. It was warm and peaceful. It was something he had never experienced in all his years of conquest and war. It was love. "You have won, humans," Vexthul said quietly, "but not through weapons or strength. You have shown us something we forgot existed in the universe." The challenge was over. The Zephyrian fleet began to withdraw from Earth's system, but before leaving, every alien ship requested permission to take some of the dogs with them. The galaxy's most feared warriors had discovered something more powerful than any weapon. Captain Murphy watched from the Voyager as the alien ships departed. Each vessel now carried new four-legged ambassadors of peace. "Well, Jake," Captain Carter said as she watched Max teaching the Morthos how to play fetch, "I think we just changed the galaxy." 1 year later, the Zephyrian Empire had become the Galactic Protection Alliance. Commander Vexthul, now known simply as Charlie's Human, became the first president of the Universal Animal Welfare Society. The dogs were just happy they had made so many new friends across the stars.